My name is Tyler Powell. I'm a partner account manager for Extreme Networks. My role is to work with High Point on any training, anything that helps drive success for our customers is really what I do. The other thing I'm responsible for is finding really cool speakers, which I bring today, James Sirico, who's one of our senior directors of system engineering from Extreme. So I'll let you guys applaud at the end. We had a little technical difficulty, so we're getting started a little late, but I told Sirico that, you know, even though he had 45 minutes, he just has to get 45 minutes worth of content done in 15 minutes, so we'll be fine. And the drama ensues. All right, everybody, I present to you once again, James Sirico.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Tyler. Sorry, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties. We found the person that can fix everything. Thank you very much for that. I will try to go through this quickly, but not too quickly, because this is actually some really interesting and very in-depth information on Extreme Networks and pretty much what our AI ops has gone to our direction with the company and what we're trying to go for in the long run. I say that because we're continuing to still add to this capability. It's not a, if you haven't heard of AI ops, it's pretty much a new catchphrase that's pretty much on the market. You'll start seeing it pop up everywhere, but as a cloud-based company that's using AI, it's centered around what is our vision for the company and how is it going to help customers and partners facilitate challenges and provide that ease of use and ease of answer. So with that said, we're going to jump right on in. This is our safe harbor statement. Basically, this is a nice little way of saying anything and everything that we say up here, don't hold us to it. No, it's just a lot of this is based on timelines and product information and product availability. So as one can attest, some of these challenges fall behind and, you know, shipping, COVID, development processes. And so if we say, hey, if we post this up and we don't deliver it within a particular time frame, it's not that we're trying to paint a bad picture. It's basically to protect us as a company. All right, so network complexity. As we're seeing on the market right now, networks are becoming more and more complex. And what happens is IT solutions or the IT offices and IT staff are becoming less and less, and that's putting this massive strain on networking departments to fix these issues in a timely fashion, in a timely manner. The problem behind that one, as you can clearly see, is that the more complex these type of environments are and the less eyes that are on them, these challenges tend to grow more and more and more. And with less IT budgets that are coming into play, there's no real quick and nice little answer. And that's where AI ops was formed and started to come into play. So if you take a look at this, what is it? Well, it's basically when you take these big data or big data lakes that you have mixed in with machine learning, this is where you start to get your AI ops capabilities. Many cloud-based companies have this. We are no exception to that, but I think our vision and how we built our AI ops is what is the real big differentiator for Extreme. So what's tending to drive this? The evolution of the IT teams, the network's complexity, and the cloud technology is continuing to be a driving factor. It's not going to be something that's going to go away. It's going to only get more and more, large within the needs of the AI ops. When we're starting to talk about our overall vision from Extreme, We're talking about, we have the universal platforms, which I'm sure you guys are well aware of. We have our multiple cloud offerings that's on the market. We've tried to unify as much as we possibly can with IQ Engine, with new features like Digital Twin that's coming out, business insights and analytics. And then all of this is secured by ISO and SOC 2 compliance. And we'll jump into that one because that is a big factor based on our foundation work within AI Ops. So I love this quote because it really does hit home. You can't build a great building on a weak foundation. The reason behind that, obviously, the foundation is bad, it's weak, it's not going to hold up to everything that you're going to continue to put on top of it. It will fail. This is obviously in reference to a building, but it's in the same reference to AI Ops. It's in the same reference to when you build a cloud infrastructure and a cloud architecture. It's the same concept. So we have this pillar in AI Ops. Many follow this type of model. What I like to point out is at the bottom here, the cloud infrastructure and compliance. This is your foundation. This is our differentiator. This is where it all starts. It is different from everybody else that's on the market, and there's a reason for that. We also cover data governance and comprehensiveness, and then the ML insights, all the way up to packaging. So to kind of look underneath the covers of ExtremeCloud IQ, this is really what it is. It's a two-tiered system. We have on the back end a private network that is never exposed to the front end or to the public network. It is all private based. There are some ports that are opened here that are basically source and destination based and very restricted on the communication. It will not communicate to anybody else other than what's in these listeners. You also have a public side. This is the forward-facing side of the house. This is what is basically being answered in our cloud. So when you go to connect up a device or do a configuration push or take a look at any type of heartbeat activities, it's actually coming out, the communication is starting in from the public side network. This is our RDCs. So this is kind of our massive footprint that we have. We are in all three data hosting providers. Now, a common question for me has been, great, why does that matter? Why do I care? What happens if, say we have a problem with AWS? What happens if there's a DNS issue with AWS? Doesn't always mean that there has to be a complete outage. Well, if that occurs and you are just bound to one data hosting provider, can you deploy? Can you look into your network? What happens if AWS decides, hey, you know what? COVID has really done a number onto us, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to start upping the price. Now what do you do? Having being certified into 3 data hosting providers, I can move from one to the other seamlessly. And as we talked about packaging loosely, and we'll cover it a little bit later in this, having that universal licensing package, guess what? I can move you from one to the other seamlessly without a licensing hit completely, and do that within 10 minutes. All of the information, every bit of it, is encrypted at rest and in transit. That is a guarantee. That is something that we are continuing to get audited on all the time. So again, it goes back to the data sovereignty, it goes back to the data guarantee, and it goes back to the data protection that exists. So we're going to talk quickly about ISO. So this is that foundation work I was talking about. So I'll cover this in a different way, in a different topic. I hate covering ISO. From a security perspective, because people kind of gloss over, because you start throwing numbers in certifications, and people go, I really don't understand this. It's just it's a number I see on a Big Mac truck or a truck that I see on the side of the road. It doesn't mean anything. Actually, it's incredibly important, and we'll cover that. 27001 has 114 dedicated testing criteria against us. And because of that, we have 4 audits a year. We only need 1. All right. On top of that, we've added 2717, which adds another 40, and then 701, which adds another certification to that, another checked process within the whole ISO cert. So why are we doing this? Why is this so important in AI ops? It's important because of those 4 pieces. What are those 4 pieces? These are our data lakes. So when you go into Cloud IQ and you start looking at the data that's being provided, regardless of whether it's from an access point, a switch, or any numerous amounts of other intelligence that we are ingesting into the product, it's coming out of one of these 4. The only one that it's not is coming out of this one. This one is our 5th one, and that does image redistribution. So let's not worry about him. These 4 are the data lakes that we are doing ever so much to actually protect against. But why? So I'm going to step back for a second and kind of come at ISO in a different fashion. If I were to go to Corey right now, and I say, Corey, here's $35,000. What is Corey going to go do with it? Outside of I'm taking the next couple of days off, right? He might go to the casino, but he's probably going to be, even if he does go to the casino, ultimately he's going to take that and he's going to put it into an FDIC certified bank. Why? Well, certified. But why? It's certified because what has happened, processes, procedures, auditing, everything is in line for that bank, for the government to guarantee you that it's A-okay to deposit that money. It's a guarantee for the protection of your money. Doesn't that sound a lot like what we're doing? It's a guarantee for the protection of your data. That data is what everybody wants. And if it's ever compromised, there's challenges not only for the vendor, possibly the partner, but many other organizations downstream. So it's incredibly important that we protect that data. So ISO is more like an FDIC certified bank. If you go into a bank, and I'm an auditor, and I go up to a teller, and that teller walks away from their terminal with somebody's account up, and I can get access to that, that bank is in a lot of trouble. We're no different. There are auditors that actually can come in and have access into our environment that can audit us at any time. So if one of the AEs are logged into the account and they turn around and go, I got to go get coffee, and they get up and they walk away, but they're in somebody else's VIQ, it's no different. We'll get audited. We'll get slammed. We'll get that our ISO certification pulled. So again, it's very close to that. Well, there are other there are other organizations or other competitors that will say, well, we're an ISO certified facilities. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's different in this case. And that ISO certified facility is where cloud vendors will actually host inside of AWS. Or inside of AWS warehouses or their own data center. The problem behind that is ISO can be, you can have AWS warehouses that are ISO certified, but it still doesn't protect anything. So I kind of attribute that to kind of like a U-Haul storage facility. Think about it. So when I go to buy a storage unit, that's like buying a cage. ISO stops there. They can't enforce it into that cage. That's the same thing as Security stops at my storage locker. So the combination I put on my storage locker, they have no say in that. What I do in the storage locker, they have no say in it. But they have a security guard that walks the premise. They have a PIN access, right? It's all within ISO standard. However, everything relies then on who owns within that cage. So now I'm an owner of this. I turn around and I put my password on a pin, right? Put my pin down, I put my locker down, and I put my combination down. I put it on a sticky, and I put it on my desk. I have no policies and procedures and auditing that says this is bad, this is wrong. What happens? Somebody takes it, says, oh, they drive in, they go on up, they put the correct pin in, they go to my locker or to my storage unit, they put the correct password in or key tumbler in, pop open the lock, open it up, walk in, and steal my $35,000. What happens? Well, was ISO broke from this storage facility? No. Was there a data compromise? Yes. Somebody broke in. So ISO certified facilities, even though there are people that are hosting into it, doesn't always guarantee that you have your data protected, all right? And then I liked my last one, the mattress. The mattress one is pretty much everyone else. If you're not ISO certified or an ISO certified facility, you pretty much just fall under here, which is kind of begging for some challenges and some problems. So the reason why I put this one up here, I actually had a nice little video of it. This kind of reminds me of what happens when you have no policies, no auditing, no anything to make sure that your data and your processes and procedures and everything else that is there to protect your most valued asset. So I'm sure everybody has seen this before. If you haven't, I suggest you watch this movie because it's actually quite funny. But in this case, the password is obviously 12345. So a very simple, easy password to break. Somebody goes on in, grabs your stuff, walks on out, and now you're part of a data breach. I think as of today, in the last 2 years, 50% of our competition has actually had to announce data breaches. And that's saying something. So the data compromising and data breaches that are ever increasing, luckily to date, we are not one of them. So pillars of the top foundation. One, when we move forward with this one, so we've talked about that our foundation is incredibly strong, that we make sure that we're protecting all this data. Now what? Well, the data that gets captured here, we apply into machine learning, and then we apply it into what we call our copilot. And the machine learning piece of this, we're actually starting to learn algorithms and learn how your network is behaving, and why is that? So that actually we can turn around and give you that information ahead of time. Is your network slow because you have bad wiring? Is your network slow because you have routing challenges? Is your network slow because your speed in duplex has changed? Things of this sort. As a small IT staff running a very large environment, this is something that you start to look for and look at. Now you can be more reactive or proactive, actually, because we're actually telling you, hey, there's these specific challenges in your environment. You get to go focus on getting those fixed, as opposed to having to wait for multiple tickets, multiple issues to be reported, and then go try to start from square one to go fix it. But that's not all where we start and end. So then we started building a much larger ecosystem. So we started to ingest XCC, started to ingest Wing. We started to ingest what we call intuitive insights. Intuitive insights is actually quite unique because instead of in wireless, most of the time the information that you're receiving is from the perspective of the access point. Intuitive insights is giving you the perspective of the client. which is actually, again, very unique on the market. There are other ones, other competitors on there that are trying this out as well. But all of this information is being fed in to our ExtremeCloud IQ and to our Copilot. Then obviously we have our site engine, and our site engine has control, but it also is ingesting third-party devices as well. So we're not just looking at our switches anymore. We're starting to look at networks just holistically. Why? Why should we just report on our networks? Why do we need to just report on our switches? The likelihood that we have clients that or customers that are just completely, purple across the board, it's far and few between. Most data centers is not going to do a complete rip and replace. It goes over time. So why aren't we helping facilitate that? Okay. The analytics engine is also a part of this, taking that ingested information and actually putting it into, again, into Site Engine, and that goes into a Cloud IQ. So overall, we're just, again, trying to take one pane here and be able to ingest all of this information in, run it through machine learning, run it through our algorithms, run it through Copilot, and be able to come back and say, hey, these are the challenges that we see actually within the network. What it does reduce, wrong button. What it does reduce is our mean time to repair. That's the whole goal of AI Ops, is to be able to give you a lower mean times to repair, regardless of the size of your IT staff or how large your environment is. If we can do that, then our AI Ops model is actually done correctly. And lastly, I'm going to talk quickly about packaging. So packaging is a fancy way of saying licensing. Going back to earlier, our licensing model is actually now a universal licensing model across the board. So again, if you are in AWS and you go, man, AWS has been just problematic in the last few weeks, I want to now move them over to Google. You can do that without having to go purchase separate licensing. We don't care. It's a universal license. So everything is covered under this one license model. You don't get nickeled and dimed, or it's not complex enough where you kind of get lost in the minutia of it. This, again, is a very centric part of our AI Ops. Without this, a lot of our capabilities would not come to fruition. So in summary, our ExtremeCloud IQ is ingesting all of this information. It's applying it as an AI Ops model so that smaller IT staff can actually have their reduced mean times to resolution, but you'll get a complete and holistic view of what we are offering and what your environment is currently operating at, and the challenges that it has in a very quick and decisive manner, so that your IT staff can actually focus on the resolution of those problems, as opposed to, again, waiting for the tickets and frustrations to actually build up. And with that, I tried to do my best to kind of make up as much time as I possibly can. With that said, are there any questions or any questions on this? Not sure. Do we have any questions online? No? Okay. All right. I either did really well or I did really fast. Okay. No, but thank you guys. I appreciate it.